Welcome back, everybody. This, of course, is Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
He is Captain Foley. What are we doing today, Stuart?
We are talking about some old game ships, specifically from a game called Legacy, Star Trek Legacy, not to be confused with maybe the upcoming Legacy show. But there's some really interesting designs from back in the day, and we're going to take a look at some. Well, we have been looking at some, and we will be looking at a lot more. But today we're looking at one in particular, and this is the Proxima class, which I kind of like. I'm kind of stoked about it. So, I like multi-nacelles.
Well, that, and you also are, a TMP fanboy. And there is a TOS version of this, but for TMP today, just for a bit of difference. Of course, these are game models that I've taken, I've converted, I've hopefully improved slightly to be in this render engine. Because, of course, a 2006 games engine isn't the most advanced, but with a bit of love and care, you can make it look a bit nicer. Not show ready, not perfect, but it's their same work as the artists who made these models. So it's nice to see them kind of done a bit nicer and higher resolution. Now, clearly, Stuart, a bigger, more powerfully shooty, kaplooey ship. This isn't a light cruiser. It's something bigger. What do you think?
Okay, so I've heard of micro torpedoes, but this has gigantic torpedo tubes on the front, especially scaled with the pod at the back. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
This is like
I hadn't seen that.
Big shells. Anyway.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
First thing I noticed, honestly, is somebody just took a Constitution class model and went, "Oh, I'm going to add to that," because you can see the Constitution class saucer, you can see the bridge dome, you can see the BC deck of a Constitution class, and then just built out from there, which is fine. But I like the look of those nacelles, the way they got them stacked, and then they incorporated. Oh, well, I like the Reliant, I like the Miranda class. Let's throw that roll bar in, and I gotta admit, the struts are big and bulky and beefy, and it's a dual hulled or secondary hulled ship, which is a nice idea too. That's been seen before as well. Yeah, that's been seen before as well. And it was in 2009 JJ film. There was one. There's been a few over the years that fans have done and stuff. So I like the idea of the pontoon kind of thing. I like it.
Now, would you agree? It's not a good looking ship.
No.
Okay. But it also there's a certain, obviously, kitchen sink. Certainly, yeah. But it feels to me as if, right, we've got this level of technology in this era, right? Connie is a cutting edge. How do we make a bigger and more powerful version? Well, we haven't got the technology to make a bigger, more advanced version. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to make a bigger and bigger version. So just adding, right, to make it more capable with pure, raw tech in terms of amount of tech. So 2 secondary hulls, obviously, will radically change what the ship can do. 4 nacelles, same thing. More parts of the saucer, same thing. So that's kind of the vibe I get here. So it's not aesthetically shipping, but it's form or function needed form. And now fire torpedoes, those Klingon ships you're fighting. But I didn't actually notice it was just a Connie sauce that just added new layers to. But it really is, isn't it?
Yep.
Because the bridge dome is the same size. I appreciate that. The scaling feels about there.
It's missing though a ring of lights on the saucer of where the Connie ends. So that'd be cool, and not have the Connie lights, or the Connie windows, but have a actual just row of windows would be kind of neat along there.
But hey, at least they didn't put the RCS thrusters in the inner ring of the Connie. They actually did. They didn't just kit bash. They did some little bit of custom here, so good for them.
Did you notice they added more phaser ball turrets around that outer ring too?
Yeah,
there's 3 on each side, and then the main 3 that are on the regular Connie at the top.
There's some logic been put in here. Good for them.
Yeah.
And yes, torpedo launchers. I'd even noticed that there was there's 4 in the roll bar, which means it's a big bar, and then 2. Just what is going on? Next view though is the back, which is very different feeling. And my goodness, Stuart, deflectors at the back of the shell bays. Sailor Hells, what the?
Well, they're not deflectors. This is the same thing the Federation class everybody complains about.
Right.
They're actually sensor and communications arrays. I like it. I do like it. Although, where the hell is the shuttle bays? It'd be a perfect place to
Well, it's the
put
front,
like,
isn't
have
it?
dual shuttle bays.
I mean, it's the front.
Is it?
Well, it's going to be,
I
isn't it?
haven't seen it.
Well,
I haven't looked at the front yet.
I would assume.
But yeah, I mean, 4 impulse engines, which I don't mind actually. That rear upper impulse deck is very reminiscent of the Excelsior design.
The window scaling, though, instantly you can see it's broken because the saucer has these slit windows that, if we assume the scale is based on the refit bridge, same big windows, which are fair, it's like 2 decks. Those things would be like this. It's very, very thin, and certainly not a deck height. Like, that's two windows in 1 deck. Because there's not enough room for 2 decks, surely. Is there? Or is the bridge module broken?
Bridge module is broken because I used a Connie model, bulked out from there, decided I'm going to put 2 rows of lights, or 2 rows of 2 decks on the outer of this bigger part, which makes the inner part, which is the Connie saucer and the bridge module, too big. You'd have to scale that bridge module down. The bridge in the BC deck, I would scale down to be smaller, much more like the Excelsior. Then the whole ship would feel bigger. But unfortunately, bridge is a very telling indicator of scale, and just adding the windows in doesn't necessarily work. So,
but at least they did remove the windows on that Connie saucer element, so that there is some more structure here. So I appreciate them for that. Next view, though, is like a bold view of like, look, this is the stuff we've got going on. Wow.
Okay, there are the shuttle. Look at that. I think there's 2 shuttle bay doors on each, or unless they split in the middle.
Yeah, it's a clamshell still. It's a clamshell.
Okay, that's cool.
Because they aren't exactly refit secondary hulls.
I mean, you can tell where they cut the secondary hull of the refit at the front there because of the pinstriping stops. They didn't even add another delta. But
I did not expect a deflector to be at the front as well. I thought they were just going to commit to maybe just at the back and make some sort of clever reason. But to have both those details at the front and have come in as such an oddity. It looks like a face going,
so many things that take me right out of it, though. That Connie saucer is so just, hi, I'm a Connie. How you doing? And then those big-ass torpedo tubes on the front.
I mean, they're honestly, they're shuttle launchers at this scale.
I was just thinking, maybe they launch like runabout sized shuttle.
Yeah. And it's not even funny if there was like...
It's like launch tubes out from BSG.
Yeah. Because it's not even funny if you zoomed in, if there's a better model, and then there's like 4 tubes in the middle of that middle tube. Like, they're just big housings of 4 tubes. Like, you could make that silly joke, right? Well, speaking of art, I think there are torpedoes either side of the secondary hull as well, on the top near the docking port. I think there's meant to be launchers as well. So this thing is stacked with launchers.
If you zoom in, it does have that detail for sure.
Wow.
And the other thing, too, is they tried to hide the fact that it was a Constitution-class saucer, because that lower dome part, I don't know what they did to it. They've smoothed it out or something, because it looks a little bit different for the planetary sensor dome. It looks slightly off, and I think it's actually pushed up into the model a bit.
Or the dome has been pushed in, so it's not quite extruding, so it has less of a presence. I would agree.
Yeah.
Although what I don't agree with is the way they've done the neck connecting to the hull, those necks look horrible. They're just big bulking bits of metal. But then the cells are kind of cool. Having the grill warp cores going down is fun. I don't think I've seen that many times before.
More torpedo tubes facing rear.
Gosh.
Got some phaser turrets at the back of those secondary hulls. And a big, apartment complex of windows in the middle. Which I kind of like. I mean, that's kind of interesting, but those struts are just they're over-engineered. Those poor plasma feeds have to go.
And look, I was right. There is torpedo launchers at the back of the pontoons as well. This thing has 8 aft torpedo launchers. Goodness. And they're all so well integrated into here's a pod. Here's the, wow, this thing is stacked with weapons. This view I do actually quite like. I'll be honest. This kind of works for me as an overall piece.
Yeah. I almost prefer the TOS version of this better. It feels more natural. This feels like, we need to... I don't know. Just something about it doesn't feel right.
Is it potentially that, ironically, that the refit era, while it is more squared off than TOS, almost everything is kind of a curved square off. There's a flow to it. So having very boxy, pylons certainly, but the way they connect to the neck, that is a very boxed shape when everything else has a certain flow to it.
Maybe.
If that was more curved, a bit smartly, it wouldn't take much, but it's just too boxy compared to everything else. Whereas TOS, there are boxy elements, like a bit more simple box, potentially.
TOS, see, here's the thing. TOS is simplistic. Refit Era is simplistic but classy. It's like retroed up. This takes away from that a little bit. Like, I wish the struts were more streamlined. Like, just one up and then straight out to the nacelle feeds, like the nacelles. I like the shapes they chose, but it's just...
Wouldn't you want to connect the main nacelle pylons to the pontoons as well? Having... Like, there's just a hole in between them with empty space, which does nothing and will never do anything. Or connect them to the pontoons.
I think if I could probably redesign this ship and make it feel a little bit better. But I still like the design. It's an interesting take on things. But
well, let's see. As often orthographics do make you reconsider the top and the bottom view in flat orthographics. The shapes are laid bare. Right, Connie man, what do you think?
That cutout in the front is not necessary. It makes it look like it's got its two front teeth kicked in. It just looks like a hillbilly with no front teeth.
And if the bridge is Connie sized, those launchers are the size of the bridge. That's a scale you can think about.
It's the emergency bridge evacuation system. The bridge just drops down and gets launched out so that when the ship explodes, the bridge survives.
Super useful. Yep. I mean, that could launch rooms. I mean, who needs escape pods? You can escape rooms.
The bottom's not so bad. The top, there's just too much going on with those struts again. And I don't hate it, but I kind of hate it. I wouldn't mind them like simplifying things. And also, they push the saucer forward. That the Connie saucer sits over top of the front of the secondary hull. If they had pushed this back, it might feel a little bit better.
Well, it gives it part of the unique feel, though. I know what you mean.
It does.
I kind of like how everything being sort of spread out a little bit. And I don't know why, but when I look at the amount of pylons and connective pieces in that little area, it's all kind of stacked. It gives me Thunderbird vibes, like the way they would construct the Thunderbirds. Just how pylon-y it is. I'm not exactly sure why.
Warp systems are go.
Like there's something there just hits me as that.
Oh my god! I just went to the next picture.
And
the side.
Ready? Are you ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Let's see his pain. Oh.
Oh my god. Okay, here we go. The front, love it. Big, bulky, imposing. They're not the same shape secondary hulls as the Connie. They tried to change that. Cool. Back looks pretty fantastic, actually. The back looks impressive. The side, what's going on with the side? That neck is god awful. They need to fix that.
Yeah, 2006. Take a memo from the future, redesign it for your game, put it back in the game. 2006. You heard him.
If only they had Trekyards in 2006, man.
Yeah, I mean that side view is it's so misproportioned. Every single aspect is misproportioned.
It's lanky and scrawny looking.
I didn't realize the saucer was that thin, and it looks terrible in that context. The nacelles are too thin. They're too long. The second hull's too long. Now that said, every piece is too long and stretched out in the same way, so it comes together in a logical. I see what they're doing. Doesn't look good at all.
I see what they were trying to do, but they did not change the window scale on the secondary hull of a Connie. Whereas when you look at the side of the saucer, they're like, oh, this is a big ship. Let's add more windows. They should have changed the window scaling and placement of the windows on the secondary hull. They elongated them, or squashed them from the front. But that's the exact same detailing almost as a Connie and window scale. That's where the problem comes in here. Because look at the windows on the saucer rim compared to the secondary hull.
And even the additional mid-pontoon apartment block, as you said, are smaller than the secondary hull. They are not at the same...
From the rear, the front, or the back of the secondary hulls looks like the protector from Galaxy Quest. The front of it.
Yeah.
It's got the same kind of shape and colors.
And I do think from the front, that squashed vibe does kind of work for the Connie. That's slightly ovaled, but the side view then, it now looks too, like, the proportion's now wrong, but obviously if you'd stretch it out to make it look right at the side, it wouldn't give the vibe from the front. So you kind of, it's one or the other. You can't do both because you're changing it. But it is, powerful at the front. I mean, it's got so much stuff crammed in. I can appreciate the torpedoes. The roll bar is so small because that feels appropriately scaled. Like they've just made a bigger roll bar, but not physically bigger. Just like what they need to do to achieve their goal of 4 tubes, and that actually feels very appropriate. It's small, but it's like that's what it is. Although I do feel like you can almost double dip it and make it 8, have a second row, which would be ridiculous, obviously. But I feel like you could scale wise that, especially from the side, you've got that extra sizing you could do for the ship.
One thing they need to do is, like I said, pull that saucer back over top of the front of the secondary hulls. That would greatly improve the way that neck stretches out. It's stretching. I gotta grab the saucer. Oh, and it doesn't work. Pull that back. You'd be able to bulk that up better and make it look a lot more impressive from the side.
Integrator. I mean, literally, you can see where it just stops, and 90 degree it angles in. If that was continued right up until the start of the planetary dome, bulb bit, that would integrate
Discovery design territory.
Wow. But I mean, just the start of that curve, just push it back into that point, you then integrate in smoothly. But Stuart, next, let's compare to the beautiful, elegant she is. Again, not to scale, this is just filling up the frame. Thoughts compared side by side.
I wish you would have scaled the Connie to the inner Connie ring of the other one. Yeah, there's a simplicity and an elegance to the refit that is just kind of lost here. They've overcomplicated things. You could design this exact same ship from scratch and have it look like as simple and elegant as the refit, but they didn't do that. They took the refit, expanded on it, and as a result, it just looks clunky.
But I do want to give them some credit though, because they haven't literally done everything. They have tweaked a lot of things. For example, there are now 2 phasable turrets each side on the secondary hulls. Bigger ship, that would be 2, wouldn't just be 1. It fills the same relative space on the ship, but now because the ship's bigger, it's got 2. There's now a lot of ringed red pennanty things on the saucer, which helps fill space. It's very Excelsior-y, it makes sense, I like that. I think the phasable turret's also slightly... Yeah, they are. The phasable turret's actually smaller on the saucer compared. Like, not a lot, but I would say a little bit, although it could just be texture size. They're not quite in perfect scale, I would say, to the refit, which actually kind of works to the bigger scale of the ship. So there's actually a few things they've done to kind of mitigate the sameness, which I kind of like. And then the cell's actually not very similar at all. If you look at the detail on the top of both, almost nothing's shared. So I appreciate that is actually different.
Well, no, that's because that's the bottom of the nacelle you're looking at, because they just flipped the top nacelle upside down.
Oh. Is that what they did?
So if you go to the side view comparison, they didn't put a lot of detail into their nacelles, first of all.
Right.
You're missing the fin at the back, which gives the refit nacelle a really nice quality.
Okay, I didn't see that. Yeah, and the side view, there's a good comparison.
Yeah, the windows on the secondary hull are the exact same up to a point, and then the point changes where they just tapered it back to a deflector or the communications array. Yeah, and they didn't change the scaling. Yeah,
that's the fatal blow, because they got the windows, like, they really matched that well, considering.
And they even stretched out the arboretum windows to a ridiculous degree. You can also see the cutoff point because, like I said, the pinstriping stops. They didn't even bother putting a new delta on.
But they did change details. They did. It's unnecessary amount of thought considering it's a game ship. Conceptually, like the person tried. It's just I'm assuming they ran out of poly because you had a limit per ship, right? I assuming they ran out of polys for the neck because they thought, well, how many people are going to be looking at the neck when it's flying like this? Let's give the secondary hull nice things. Let's give the bridge. Let's do that. I feel that's probably what happened.
Yeah, and this is one of those ships that when you see it in game, the angles you see it from will be fine. It'll look like an impressive bulking. It's not meant to be analyzed like we're analyzing it.
In high def
changes
4K,
would need to be made,
etc.
Yeah, changes would have needed to be made. So.
And that's why this series is very interesting. We are giving a brand new look at these things that no one has ever do before properly. So final shot is the first beauty. What do you think now? Like I say, we've gone through a journey here. You and me. I certainly thought it was a bit of an odd one coming in. Now we've really experienced it. So what do you think?
I'm way less excited about it than I was when I first saw it. I do remember the TOS version of this one much better because I use that quite a bit in the game, and I like it a lot better. It's a lot more simplistic, and it just fits this design aesthetic or this design style or shapes better, I guess. But to change it into a refit version just didn't quite work for me. So I'm still happy to have looked at it. I think this could definitely be a very cool ship with some changes. But the overall silhouette and everything could stay the same. That'd be fine. But a few things need to happen. So not dissing on this is a great idea, but
Stuart's a refit boy. He's gonna make you know what, why, and who. I mean, yeah, it's weird, but there's a lot of stuff here that is a good baseline. There's ideas, limitedly executed because of the time, the era, and as all things, this is not the hero ship of the game, right? If this had been, they would have refined all those edges, literally and figuratively. But considering how many things they did tweak because of sizing, I appreciate them a lot. And this thing is very well armed, so good for them. It falls into the role that we said, and not by having more advanced, just by having more of. And actually, they're integrated in a way that I think they would have done at the time, just by bigger second hull, 2 phasers, simple, easy, logical, more power without having to change the wheel. Is it ugly? Maybe. Let us know in the comments down below.
That's what they're there for. Go let us know your thoughts. Also hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any of our content because we do a lot of it and we need your support. So any way you can help us out, please do.
And that direct support, Stuart, Patreon is a monthly way, or join the channel also monthly. Like, it's any amount for any number of months, or like $1 million for 1 month. Hey, up to you. Just do it all in one. Hey, that's all good. Or you can support the channel via PayPal. It's trekyards@hotmail.com. That is our link. Or you can super chat on any live, any amount, any live, any conversation. We really encourage it because it helps us to make more of a conversation. Or super thanks if you enjoyed this video. If you designed this ship, let us know in the comments down below. If we've just brought back a memory from your distant past.
If you designed this ship, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be mean. Don't be mad at me.
And let us know what you think of it in the comments down below as well.
Yeah. So until next time, he's Commander Cockings.
He's Commander Foley. Bye, guys.
Keep on trekking, guys. Bye.